Picture that empty corner of your basement or garage. You can probably already see the pristine guest suite, the added property value, and the perfect spot for a new bathroom. Normally, putting a toilet below your main sewer line means renting a concrete saw or a jackhammer, tearing up the slab, and digging trenches just to find a drain line. It is loud, dusty, and incredibly expensive. Instead of fighting gravity, you can use a pressure-driven system called an Upflush or a macerating toilet. It houses a high-powered grinder that liquefies waste and pumps it out, skipping the excavation process entirely. These industrial-grade pumps are strong enough to push that liquid waste up to 15 feet vertically and 100 feet horizontally, all through a tiny 3/4-inch discharge pipe. By relying on pressure rather than a downward slope, you can reclaim your unutilized square footage without doing structural damage to your home's foundation. Step 1 is deciding where to put the unit. The pump is a mechanical device, so you want to minimize wear and tear by placing it where it has the shortest, straightest possible path to your main sewer stack. Once you have your spot, you need to firmly bolt the white macerator pump securely down to the concrete floor. Keeping it anchored prevents vibration from shaking the components and wearing out the motor over time. Step 2 is connecting the porcelain bowl. Unlike a standard toilet draining down into the floor, this toilet drains horizontally out the back. This design completely eliminates the need for a sticky, messy wax ring. Instead, you slide a heavy-duty rubber coupling over the straight pipe coming from the toilet, connect it directly to the pump intake, and tighten down the metal hose clamps. You end up with a visible mechanical connection. You can clearly see it seal tight, and if you ever need to service the pump, you just unscrew the clamps to detach it. Step 3 is the plumbing. You must use a small 3/4-inch pipe for your discharge line. In fluid dynamics, a smaller pipe forces the fluid into a high-pressure jet, maintaining the velocity needed to lift it straight up to your ceiling. When running this pressurized line, you must absolutely never use a 90-degree elbow fitting. A sharp 90-degree turn acts like a brick wall. It instantly kills fluid momentum, causing ground-up particles to settle. Instead, use two 45-degree fittings spaced apart. This creates a long, sweeping curve, like a highway on-ramp. By maintaining a smooth flow through these wide curves, the pump preserves the speed needed to push waste up and into your main sewer line. Still on step 3, the system needs air. You must install a dedicated 1.5-inch vent line that runs up and ties into your house's main vent stack, placed well above the level of your other plumbing fixtures. Do not try to cut corners with a cheater vent or an air admittance valve. These devices only let air in. This powerful pump requires clear, two-way airflow to operate correctly. This cross-section shows the danger of restricted airflow. If the pump can't pull and push air from a roof vent, it creates a vacuum that siphons the protective water barrier right out of your nearby sink and shower P-traps. Without that water acting as a block, sewer gas rises straight up through your empty drains, and your new bathroom will smell like the inside of a septic tank. Step 4 is hooking up your utilities. For the water supply, you can simply tee off a nearby cold water line using flexible PEX tubing and push to connect fittings. For power, the Macerator pump needs to be plugged into a standard 120-volt electrical outlet. That outlet must be a GFCI model. Because you are placing pressurized water lines right next to an electric motor, you need a breaker that will trip instantly at the first sign of a leak. Step 5 is the testing phase. Before you even think about putting up drywall or tile, run a rigorous stress test by repeatedly flushing the toilet 10 to 20 times with heavy wads of toilet paper. Listen closely to the motor to ensure it shuts off promptly after the water clears. Then, physically run a dry hand under every single rubber coupling and pipe joint to check for the slightest moisture. Finding a slow drip now, while the wall studs are still exposed, saves you from hidden structural rot and thousands of dollars in drywall repairs later on. Most Macerator pump units come with a major bonus feature: extra inlet ports on the sides. These are designed to accept gravity-fed gray water from a bathroom sink or a slightly raised shower platform. Gray water is simply wastewater that doesn't contain biological solids. This means that one pump, using one electrical outlet and one tiny discharge pipe, can seamlessly manage the drainage for an entire 3-piece guest suite. But there is one absolute rule for operating this system. You can never flush dental floss, feminine hygiene products, or so-called flushable wipes. Even if the package claims they dissolve, wipes are made of synthetic fibers. Those fibers will wrap tightly around the high-speed stainless steel blades, overheat the motor, and jam the pump completely. Because you might have to clear a jam manually one day, always build a removable access panel or a cabinet door if you decide to hide the unit behind a finished wall. By sending wastewater anywhere through flexible tubes instead of heavy, rigid pipes, this modular pumping technology frees your home's layout from the permanent constraints of gravity sewers.